In old age, learn to be cold. Never answer these questions. Welcome, everyone, to today's episode. I'm here to talk about something I believe is vital for anyone stepping into their golden years. Learning how to cultivate a certain coldness, a gentle detachment that protects your well-being. You might wonder, isn't it better to be warm, enthusiastic, and outgoing? In truth, there are times when being overly accommodating or constantly involved can drain our energy. As we age, our capacity for boundless enthusiasm dwindles. Holding on to a measured sense of coldness can actually help us preserve our spirit, safeguard our physical health, and protect our emotional balance. Growing older isn't merely about making it through the day. It's about finding ways to thrive peacefully and confidently in a life stage that demands self-care more than ever. In America, many seniors experience social pressures from family, neighbors, religious communities, social clubs, or just casual acquaintances at the grocery store. People might assume that once you're retired, you've got all the time and patience in the world. Some might think you're always up for a chat or eager to help at the drop of a hat. Of course, being kind and supportive is admirable, but there comes a moment when you need to protect your peace. You can't pour unlimited energy into people around you and expect to stay mentally and emotionally well. Eventually, you'll run out of fuel, and that's when loneliness or a sense of neglect creeps in. No one can be a perpetual ray of sunshine. Even the brightest star has its limits. By learning to set boundaries, by consciously allowing a little bit of coldness, we can refuel our inner resources and maintain an optimistic spirit for the long term. Let's begin by talking about one crucial skill: staying calm during emergencies. Many older Americans find themselves rushing, walking quickly across parking lots, driving aggressively to keep pace with younger folks, feeling compelled to get things done as fast as possible, as if they need to prove they can still keep up. In reality, hurrying often leads to mistakes. Even a small misstep, like missing a curb or turning too quickly, can cause a serious fall. When you're younger, you might bounce back from a tumble without much trouble. But when you're older, a fall can lead to broken bones, hospital visits, or worse. Everyone, regardless of age, sometimes faces emergencies. Maybe your spouse suddenly feels dizzy and passes out, or a smoke alarm goes off in the middle of the night. If you can pause for a beat, take a breath, and gather yourself before you act, you might avoid compounding the crisis. Rushing blindly forward can invite more damage. I recall hearing a story about Mr. Johnson, a 75-year-old retired accountant from Chicago who locked himself out of his house with his 2-year-old grandson inside. In a rush, Mr. Johnson tried forcing a spare key into the front door lock, only to break it. With the child crying inside, Mr. Johnson became frantic, searching for tools, peering through windows, calling for neighbors, but everything he did was too hurried to be effective. Eventually, a neighbor dialed 911, and the police arrived to help open the window. The lesson here is that a few extra moments of calm thinking could have saved him from snapping that spare key and putting his grandson through so much distress. In many urgent scenarios, we inflate the crisis in our minds, driving ourselves to reckless actions. Sometimes, taking a step back, just a minute to think, opens up better solutions. That mental clarity, that gentle coldness, is exactly what allows you to approach a tense moment without losing your head. Next, let's address the idea of dealing with toxic or negative people as you age. Maybe there are folks you knew from years back, individuals who never seemed genuinely supportive, or who once cheated you in a business deal, or who always loved to gossip and drag others down. When you retire, You might find yourself crossing paths with such people again, maybe at church gatherings, community centers, senior socials, or just out in the neighborhood. It's natural to want to be polite, but if you notice that their presence continuously makes you uncomfortable or anxious, it's wise to keep a healthy distance. While younger folks can sometimes bounce back easily from negative encounters, older adults have to be more cautious about anything that disturbs their peace. Being cold in such instances isn't rude, it's a shield. By remaining courteously distant, you preserve your emotional energy. You don't have to engage in every conversation or trade small talk with those who made your life difficult. You've earned the right to choose who you interact with. You're not obliged to please everyone. In this spirit, it's also essential to choose carefully where you invest your time socially. Americans, especially in large cities and suburbs, often have countless opportunities for social events. Luncheons, reunions, volunteering, and so on. That's wonderful in moderation, but as you grow older, you may feel the subtle pressure to go to every class reunion, every new club meeting, or to take up every new hobby. However, too many commitments can lead to burnout. Some gatherings turn into a competition of who's more successful, or who has the better retirement plan. Others can be breeding grounds for scams, where smooth-talking individuals try to sell you timeshares, questionable financial plans, or miracle cures. Consider being more selective with what you say yes to. If a particular event draws people you genuinely enjoy or sparks a real passion in you, go for it. But if it's going to be a room filled with empty boasting or cunning sales pitches, perhaps you're better off enjoying a peaceful day at home, gardening, reading, or taking a light walk with a dear friend. Reducing superficial social interactions leaves space for deeper, more nourishing relationships. A perfect example of how a bit of coldness can actually enrich your life. Now, let's talk about family, particularly adult children. Once the kids have grown up, married, or moved out, it's natural for parents, especially those of us who have retired or have more free time, to want to guide and assist. Maybe you have opinions on their spouse, their parenting style, or how they handle money. While your experience can be immensely valuable, giving unsolicited advice too forcefully might backfire. The best approach to parenting adult children often involves a bit of detachment. Observe from a distance, offer gentle suggestions if they explicitly ask, but otherwise let them learn through their own experiences. Many older parents become enmeshed in everyday drama, especially if they help babysit the grandchildren or share a household. If you see conflict arising between your son and daughter-in-law, it can be tempting to step in and fix everything. But more often than not, it creates new tensions. Sometimes children need to stumble, even fail, in order to grow. Being cold here doesn't mean being unloving. It means giving them the space to develop their own solutions. If things become truly dire, you can always step in with guidance, but letting them navigate smaller hiccups can strengthen their own problem-solving skills and preserve your own emotional bandwidth. One of my favorite quotes is, "Give up the glamorous illusions and hold close just a handful of true friends." That sentiment points to the fact that in our later years, we don't need vast circles of acquaintances. We need a small circle of folks we truly trust. The bigger the group, the higher the chance of drama, gossip, or misunderstandings. Especially in large senior communities or assisted living facilities, it's easy to get sucked into social whirlpools where everyone knows everyone's business. If you can maintain a smaller, more intimate circle, you'll likely find deeper connections. And remember, true friendship never demands constant performance. It doesn't ask you to exhaust yourself by pleasing others or worry about every single word that comes out of your mouth. Trust is comforting, allowing you to be yourself without fear of judgment or exploitation. Another dimension of this coldness mindset involves learning how to handle conversations about money, pensions, or social security. In America, financial situations vary widely among seniors. Some might have generous retirement packages from their former employers, while others rely only on Social Security or part-time work. Some spent decades at well-paying jobs, contributing to 401k plans. Others had to juggle unpredictable careers or health challenges that made saving nearly impossible. When someone asks you about your finances, how big your monthly Social Security check is, how much pension you receive, or whether you have substantial savings, it's often best to respond vaguely or politely, sidestepping the topic. Boasting can hurt those who are less fortunate, and admitting financial hardship might open you up to judgment or pity you don't want. There's also the possibility that someone fishing for details has ulterior motives, such as pushing you into a shady investment deal. It's common courtesy to discuss finances discreetly. You might say something like, "I get by," or "I'm comfortable enough to manage," and leave it at that. The intricacies of your bank balance, your mortgage status, or your healthcare costs are personal. Let them remain that way. The same goes for discussing your children's accomplishments, or lack thereof. Maybe your children earn a high income, or maybe they're struggling and you help them out monthly. Either way, unsolicited conversation can strike a nerve. Some folks might be jealous if your children are high earners, while others might pity or judge if your children are unemployed or burdened by debts. Just like your own finances, your kids' situations needn't be widely broadcast. If someone insists on prying, "So, how much does your daughter make as a lawyer?" A cheerful but non-specific answer like, "She's doing fine, thanks," generally suffices. Remember, preserving that little bit of coldness can spare you from a host of awkward or manipulative scenarios. Let's shift to the topic of your children's romantic choices or marital situations. It's very common for older parents to feel concern, curiosity, or anxiety when they see their son or daughter dating someone new. Perhaps you question the partner's suitability or worry about cultural differences. But once the child is an adult, you're no longer the decision-maker. Of course, if they come to you seeking advice, you can offer your perspective gently. Yet outright endorsing or condemning their partner can lead to significant conflicts. If someone in your social circle asks, "So, what do you think of your son's fiancée? Is she good enough for him?" Consider a neutral response. Often, these questions are less about genuine care for your family and more about inviting gossip. A moderate answer could be, "I trust my child's judgment, and I'm here if they need me." By refraining from oversharing your true feelings, positive or negative, you're preventing possible tension and giving your child the space to discover what works best for them. Should their relationship stumble, you can always be supportive, but that doesn't mean you have to take charge of their personal life. That, in essence, is the gentle coldness we're advocating. Sometimes older adults face a sense of guilt if they don't immediately step up to help others, whether it's friends or family, especially with physically demanding tasks. You might have a neighbor or a friend from church who says, "Could you help me move some furniture?" Or, "Do you mind coming over to help me fix the shingles on my roof?" If you've always been known as the helpful one, it can be difficult to say no. But with age, heavy lifting or strenuous chores can pose significant health risks. Slipping a disc, straining a muscle, or worse, might turn your golden years into a cycle of hospital visits. Consider carefully whether a task exceeds your physical limits. Being straightforward about your capabilities, "I'm sorry, but I'm not sure I can manage that safely," is far wiser than pushing yourself to the brink. You might recommend a professional moving service or suggest that they reach out to a local community group for assistance. A dash of coldness here isn't selfish. It's a practical step to ensure you don't injure yourself. Your well-being must take precedence. Beyond these major concerns, finances, children, physically demanding tasks, countless little inquiries can also sneak up on you. Would you mind watching my grandkids for a week so I can go on vacation? Do you want to invest in my new home flipping business? What's your opinion on your neighbor's divorce? The list goes on and on. When asked these questions, it's easy to feel pressured into providing an immediate response. Yet, sometimes the best answer is either no answer or a politely non-committal one. Older Americans, much like everyone else, can find themselves in the crossfire of family drama, community intrigue, or social obligations. Being cold or distant in this context doesn't make you uncaring. It simply offers a buffer that keeps your mind clear of needless worry. Time has a way of revealing answers or dissolving petty conflicts. Letting time and distance handle certain issues is often far wiser than inserting yourself into them hastily. Think of it this way. Each time you bite your tongue before responding to an intrusive question, you're giving yourself a chance to reflect and protect your peace. You're effectively saying, "My inner balance matters more than proving how accommodating or knowledgeable I can be." This does not imply you never help anyone or never share your viewpoint. Rather, it means you pause long enough to decide whether your assistance or opinion is truly needed and beneficial, or whether it might breed more complications. We all know that one rash comment can spark a misunderstanding that lingers for ages. By maintaining your composure and carefully weighing your words, you prevent unnecessary conflict and stress. In older age, true self-care isn't just about staying active, eating well, and taking medications on time, though these are crucial. It's also about managing emotional and mental well-being. That's often overlooked. We talk plenty about diet and exercise, but seldom do we mention that an overcommitted schedule, endless obligations, or meddling in others' affairs can be downright exhausting. By cultivating a sense of coldness, you create mental space. You allow yourself the freedom to indulge in quiet joys, reading your favorite novels, listening to soothing music, painting, spending time with a cherished pet, taking gentle walks in the park with a dear friend, or simply sitting in your backyard, sipping tea and admiring the birds. This mindful pace is precisely what fosters a calm mind and a healthier body. When it comes to new technology, smartphones, social media, and the like, many older adults feel compelled to keep up, to join every social media group, or to respond to every online invitation. While these platforms can connect you with family and friends around the country, they can also drag you into endless chats, debates, or even misinformation. Exercising coldness means you selectively engage. Perhaps you choose to log in only once a day or once a week, limiting your exposure to heated discussions or personal demands. You can enjoy the benefits of technology without allowing it to overrun your life. As you practice this coldness, you might notice some acquaintances labeling you as distant or standoffish. Don't let that trouble you. People often misunderstand boundaries as hostility, when in fact they're simply a means to protect your inner tranquility. You can always reassure loved ones that you value them but need a calm lifestyle, and that you won't always be able to respond to every invitation or solve every problem. People worth keeping around will understand and respect your choices. Anyone who tries to pressure you into being more involved than you're comfortable with is inadvertently showcasing why your boundary is necessary. In this journey, remember that coldness is never about turning into a stone. It's about tempering our natural warmth with self-protection. Many seniors come from backgrounds where they've spent their lives serving others, raising kids, working strenuous jobs, or tending to ill family members. Now that you're older, it's time to focus on your own peace. You've earned the right to say no, to not explain yourself repeatedly, and to let certain conversations go unanswered. It might take practice, especially if you've spent decades putting others first. Yet this adaptation, this self-care strategy, is a gift to both yourself and to those who love you. A happier, healthier you is ultimately more present, more stable, and more willing to lend a genuine hand when it truly matters. Finally, I'd like to close by suggesting that you take these ideas and discuss them with friends, family, or online communities you trust. Ask them if they, too, have found relief in setting boundaries, or if they've encountered any backlash from people who don't understand. By sharing experiences, we all gain perspective. Maybe you've got your own personal anecdote, like a time you politely declined a stressful favor, and it turned out better for everyone involved. Or perhaps you're still struggling to gracefully say no in certain situations. Opening up this conversation allows us to learn from one another. Ultimately, we're all trying to age with grace, dignity, and a sense of inner calm. If you found this podcast helpful, please consider hitting the like button, sharing it with friends or family who might benefit, and subscribing to my channel. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you'll get an alert whenever I post a new episode. Thank you for joining me in this reflection on life's later stages. May we all walk forward with a little more coldness in our hearts, not an icy lack of emotion, but a protective boundary that helps us remain warm and generous to the people who truly matter. Stay well, and I'll see you next time.